Let's get into our next topic. We're talking about the Heat, how they upset the Milwaukee Bucks in only 5 games, which was incredibly impressive. I want to know, based off how the series turned out and how Jimmy Butler absolutely went to town in the last 2 games, showed up, became playoff Butler again. It was absolutely incredible. I want to know, do you think that this season, I'm going to get to Giannis's quote in just a couple seconds here as I bring it up, but I want to know, do you think that Milwaukee season, because Giannis doesn't think it's a failure, do you think ultimately that this season for the Bucks was an absolute failure?
Well, they did make the playoffs, but I do think it's a failure because they expected to go to the finals.
Right.
Right? So I think this series, they underestimated Miami. They were overconfident. And I think that's a coaching issue. I think the coaches, I don't know what they were saying to the players, but they weren't ready to play. And game 1, Giannis got hurt.
Right.
But, the Miami, give them a lot of credit, man. They didn't have the weapons that Milwaukee has. So they were undersized compared to Milwaukee. Look at the size Milwaukee has with Portis and Giannis and who's our other big guy?
They got Ingles, they got Bobby Portis, Giannis, Brook Lopez.
Brook Lopez, right? Brook Lopez is a very good basketball player, I must say. And they lost. And they have Drew Holiday, too.
Right.
I mean, he's a very good guard. They had a lot of talent on that team. How did they lose to Miami? I don't get it. I don't get it.
I do want to play this clip here.
Okay.
This was Giannis post game when asked whether or not the Bucks season was an absolute failure. This is what he had to say.
You asked me the same question last year. Do you get the promotion every year on your job? No, right? So every year you work is a failure. Yes or no? No. Every year you work towards something, towards a goal, right? Which is to get a promotion, to be able to take care of your family, to be able, provide the house for them or take care of your parents. You work towards a goal. It's not a failure. It's steps to success. There's always steps to it. There's no failure in sports. There's good days, bad days. Some days you are able to be successful. Some days you're not. Some days it's your turn. Some days it's not your turn. And that's what sports is about. You don't always win. Some other people's gonna win. And this year, somebody else is gonna win. Simple as that. We're gonna come back next year, try to be better, try to build good habits, try to play better, not have a 10-day stretch with playing bad basketball. And hopefully we can win a championship.
I do think it is a failure. When you have championship aspirations and you lose in the first round of the playoffs because you were looking too far ahead, yeah, that's a failure.
Particularly to a team who lost their first play-in game.
Right.
Right?
Right. I don't understand. But also, I will say this. He said there's no such thing as failure in sports. I think you could look at a lot of moments in sports that were failures. Let's start with this one. Now, this is not the same sport, but we talk about the Indianapolis Colts blowing a 33-point lead against the Vikings last year. That was a failure. We talk about the Patriots losing to Nick Foles in the Super Bowl. That was a failure. The Giants beating the undefeated Patriots. That was a failure. Because you don't get to the ultimate goal. Every time you don't get to your goal that you aspired for, it's technically a failure. When you start from zero again. When you start from zero again. When you start from zero again. When you get hard reset,
sometimes
you lose. You're done.
Sometimes you set a stretch goal that you don't think you can reach.
But this team has made the finals.
And if you get close to it, then even though you didn't reach your goal, it's a success.
If Aaron Rodgers does not...
I would say that's not true for Milwaukee because they clearly were a championship contender.
And
they lost to a team who lost their first play-in game.
Right.
And a team that they were dominant in terms of size.
Right.
I just don't, their coaching, I think they should have gone down low more. They could have beat the Miami up more on the down low with the, and not shot so many threes. I don't know. I'm perplexed by it, how they managed to lose that series. 4-1. Huh?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It was pretty bad, but I mean, when you start, like the thing is, when you start from zero, like if Aaron Rodgers goes to the Jets and what would you say the aspiration is? The Super Bowl or the playoffs? Where are your standards? Because the Bucks with that team
I'd say with
has
the
already won a finals.
I think with the Jets, it's got to be the Super Bowl because Aaron Rodgers is he's an old guy.
If the Jets don't make and win the Super Bowl, if the Jets don't win and make the Super Bowl, is that a failure? Is getting Aaron Rodgers a complete waste of time and a failure?
I'd say in that case, it's not because it's a stretch. It's a stretch goal to get to the Super Bowl. It's a stretch goal. If they went deep into the playoffs and lost the AFC Championship game by a close score, then they wouldn't say the season was a failure because they didn't even make the playoffs last year, right? But if they don't get to the playoffs, that's total failure. If they don't win a playoff game, I think that's a failure too. If they don't win the Super Bowl, well, and they got close, then I think it's not a failure.
Would you say the Patriots, since Brady left, have been failures? Since Brady left? I would say yes, because you won the championship.
They got the playoffs once.
They got to the playoffs once, but you're saying you were winning championships. The Bucks have won a championship just, 2 years ago?
Well, I'd say the Patriots have to do better this year, and it's going to be very hard for them because their division's even tougher now. Even tougher. And they didn't really do much in the offseason to, at least yet, to pick up anybody that's make a major difference. Maybe their draft choices will be, all world. Maybe this cornerback they picked, who I think is very highly regarded, I thought was going to go higher in the draft, and he did. Maybe he's a guy that's really going to be a shutdown guy. I don't know. We'll see. And
I know I'll be using football context, but how about we use a basketball one? Nikola Jokic was a 2-time MVP. He could have been 3-time, depending on what the voters think this year, even though it looks like Embiid. I think the Nuggets have been an absolute failure. Because when you get to the playoffs, you don't do anything. You don't do anything.
I think they're going to make it to the next round. I think they'll be in the next round.
Well, they are in the next round.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, you were a back-to-back MVP, a 2-time MVP. You could have been a 3-time MVP, including this year. What do you have to show for it? That's called being a failure. When technically you have the best player in the NBA, which is the MVP, the most valuable player, and you don't do anything with it.
Basketball is a team sport too. You got to have more than one guy.
It depends on how good you are.
Oh, come on. You got to have more than one guy. Michael Jordan never won when it was just him.
LeBron James made it to an NBA Finals carrying bums.
No, but he had Kyrie Irving.
2018, 2019.
Yeah, that's true.
Or was it 2017?
They didn't win, though. They didn't win it.
They made it, though.
Yeah.
You can't, Jokic is, first of all, Jokic is not carrying bums. He's not carrying, all-time superstars. But Jamal Murray in the playoffs has dropped 40, 30. Michael Porter Jr. is nothing to laugh at. Aaron Gordon gives you 16 and 6. These aren't terrible players. And they're not really doing anything. So,
well, we'll see how they do against the Suns. That's the ultimate challenge, I think, because I see them making the finals.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult for Jokic. But then again, Suns are top heavy. You go outside of Booker and Ayton and Paul and Durant.
I think it will be tougher for the Suns than it was against the Clippers because the Clippers are all banged up.
Right. I think it will be much more difficult versus Jokic because, hey, Jamal Murray in the playoffs can ball. Michael Porter has his moments. Jokic is Jokic. He could have been a 3-time MVP this year. We'll have to see, but it looks like it's Embiid. So I think it's going to be more difficult. We're going to get into our picks a little bit later, but I'm going with your season was a failure, and it was actually up to you because you guys were focused on the finals. You weren't even worried about the first round of the series, and you showed for it.
It's a coaching issue.
Giannis also, when you missed 13 free throws.
Yeah, he got hurt there in the first game. Maybe the injury
He played
lingered.
2 games and a quarter in the series. 2 games and a quarter.
Yeah, so that was an issue too.
Yeah, but even in the first game, that first quarter, you were still losing pretty bad.
He had 38 points and 20 rebounds in the last game there.
Yeah, but look at the free throws. The free throws was the big difference.
Yeah, and I would say how many games?
You don't miss 13 free throws. You win the game.
How many games is a player going to score 56 points? Not very often.
Hey,
right?
Jimmy Butler went.
He did it. They won that game because of him.
Big time.
And he was just unconscious there near the end. He couldn't miss. So that isn't going to happen every game. So there was maybe a little bit of bad luck.
The 56 with another 40-point game.
That's not bad. He's a great player. I agree.
And what are the Knicks going to do about Jimmy Butler? Are they going to do the Donovan Mitchell thing? Like I've been saying, let him score as many points. Just don't get Caleb Martin or Gabe Vincent or Kevin Love going.
I would say that the Knicks will do a better job against Jimmy Butler than than Milwaukee did. That wouldn't be too hard, though, right? One game 56 and the next game 42. But I think they will do better because they have pretty good defense. I think Tom Thibodeau will have a scheme. I think they'll do well against Jimmy Butler.
You bring up a coaching issue, or at least the coaching situation that happened in this Bucks series. I think I agree with you because I'm thinking about it. When Drew Holiday was 1-on-1 matched up with Jimmy Butler, I don't think they double teamed Butler at all. Because I think I think was it Mike Budenholzer? He had so much faith in his defensive guard to be able to stop Jimmy Butler and maybe not to hurt his ego, bringing over an extra player to help him. I think ultimately that was a big problem. You want to hurt Drew Holiday's ego. So he said, hey, you're our best defender at the guard position.
You can't be that way as a coach. You've got to do the right thing no matter who it is.
And I think ultimately, you couldn't slow down Jimmy Butler. It didn't look like you tried to double team him all that often. And you know what? You got burned at the end.
Yeah.
56 points followed up by another 40-point game. So it was incredible what Jimmy Butler did. Now you're going up against the Knicks. I think the Knicks, I agree with you. They'll play better defense than the Bucks did against Jimmy Butler. But it's a question of if anyone else gets going, will Jalen Brunson be hot? Will RJ Barrett make shots? Will Obi Toppin be good? Will Emmanuel Quickley perform? Because Emmanuel Quickley, a large part of the Cavs series was pretty cold. He had one warm game, but the rest of them were pretty cold.
He had 19 points in the last game.
Right. No, but what I'm saying is, how hot will that team be offensively? Because if you play defense and you're not slowing down Jimmy Butler, let's just say per chance, and you have Gabe Vincent or Robinson hitting for some reason, all of a sudden he had a reemergence of hitting threes again. He shoots and catch shoots threes, a bunch of them, 3 of them, 4 of them. So you're at 9, 12 points. Will the other players allow you to keep up with them? Will Obi Toppin make shots? RJ Barrett make shots? Because if you're down on the Heat, Jimmy Butler's going to, explode. He's going to go crazy.
So, I think the Knicks will play well in this series.
I agree with you.
They're at home. They have the home court advantage. They're bigger.
Yeah.
They're bigger. They're a better defensive team.
They're younger and quicker.
They can play. They have a bunch of rotations and chemistry that allow them to excel even when one of their great players is not in there.
Right.
So I'm pretty impressed with them.
The Miami Heat are the 4th oldest team in the NBA. Now, the Bucks are the oldest team in the NBA. The New York Knicks, according to this website, are one of the youngest teams in the NBA. And honestly, the age showed from the Heat in that play-in game. They got out-rebounded by the Hawks, who are a much younger team, even a younger team than the Knicks. Now, can the Knicks with Mitchell Robinson... I think Mitchell Robinson, I said RJ Barrett's the X factor in the Cleveland series. I think Mitchell Robinson will be the X factor in this Miami series. Because if you can get rebounds, create those second chance points, keep the offense on instead of transitioning back to defense and having to guard Jimmy Butler or Kevin Love shooting threes. You could make jokes about his age.
I think maybe Miami has the advantage at center with Bam Adebayo.
He's not a great offensive player. That's the problem.
He scored quite a few points in the last series.
He has his moments, but there are times where he goes ice cold. Like in the playing game, he couldn't make a shot.
Mitchell Robinson is mostly a defensive player and a rebounder.
That's what I'm saying. Can he rebound to create those second chance points? And the other guy,
Hartenstein, I don't. He's not that good personally. I don't think.
You don't think so?
No, he's not. He can't shoot.
Right.
And
he's a rebounder.
And he fumbles the ball a lot of the times. He can't hang on to it. I don't know. He's okay, but he's not as good as Adebayo.
I could definitely agree with you there, but he's a rebounder. The Knicks got a couple rebounders. Josh Hart. He is big. They just put more bodies out there. But then again, the Bucks were like the biggest team in the NBA. So, while they were big, it just so happened that, it didn't matter. The Heat still were able to win based on just pure shot making. So it's going to be interesting. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, if you want to check out the full episode, make sure you click the I in the top right-hand corner right now. If you want to listen to this show anywhere you go, make sure you go to anchor.fm/The Harvey Hour or anywhere you get your podcasts.